Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to learn ecosystem, a part that's part 3. Already I have spoken on ecosystem 1 and 2 in the previous lessons. Now the entire thing is based on the NCERT textbook. So today's topic will be what's called productivity. Yes, here is the topic ecosystem, which we know very well what it is. Just to remember, ecosystem is a biological unit where both living and non-living things interact in a geographical area. It may be small or it may be big. It may be in the water, it may be on the land, and that is what you call the ecosystem. And this entire thing is based upon the uh, Class 12 textbook, chapter 14. I hope you will try to read your textbook also before you go to exam. Here is the topic, the productivity. What does really productivity means? We'll be able to do it shortly. In this particular presentation, I'll be explaining it to you. Primary production, productivity, gross primary productivity, net primary productivity, and secondary productivity. We shall try to see what these are in the next clip. Now, primary productivity is explained here. Now, something we have to know, when you say production, production may mean many things to many people. In a factory, there may be a production, a film production may be there. So production has a different meaning in different context. When we say primary production in plants, particularly when we are talking about the ecosystem, we are talking about the living beings. Therefore, primary production here refers to the organisms which produce something. What do they produce? They produce the energy rich biomolecules. Now that activity is taken care only by one group of people in the ecosystem, that is the green plants. Only green plants can do the production of the food material. So here I have just written here, I'll be read it for you. Green plants and certain bacteria are able to convert inorganic matter that is present in the soil as nutrients will be absorbed by the roots, and that will all go to all the leaves. And in the leaves, with the help of the solar energy coming from the sun, then that will be converted into the carbon compound, and that often is called the carbon fixation, and that process is known as photosynthesis, which you know very well. And primary production is the first step in the food web or in the food chain, and any energy transfer to happen in the ecosystem, it should be begin with primary production. Those plants which produce the primary production are called autotrophs because they have the mechanism for converting inorganic nutrients into food material. For that purpose, they require the solar energy and they use carbon dioxide available in the atmosphere. See, that means to say, look at this. The living beings are taking carbon dioxide and light and they fix them into the organic molecules called the food. That means the air and the light, the sunlight goes into every living being. They are connected. If you look at this diagram, it says light and carbon dioxide, they do photosynthesis. In that process, oxygen is given out and the carbon dioxide also comes out due to respiration. Every living being respires. And then there will be some dead and decaying matter in the plant body that will be decomposed. So the respiration and decomposition may require some energy stored in the plant body itself. So that is the point you have to remember. So now just to close this particular clip, I will say primary production refers to the fixation of carbon by autotrophs using raw materials like nutrients from the soil, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and they will use the sunlight and convert that into organic food material. Here is what's called primary production. It refers to amount of biomass. Now biomass refers to the material, organic material present in the plant body over a period of time, and that will be normally called per unit area or volume over a period of time. That's the biomass, and that will be stored by autotrophs. When biomass is accumulated, you have seen that when a plant starts growing, it becomes larger and larger and adds upon a large number of materials to that, like the trunk becomes very big, the plants grow tall, they produce fruits, they produce seeds, they produce flowers. In all these things, especially in the leaves and in the fruits, in the roots, etc., they will be storing some food material that is called the biomass. That is possible only by the autotrophs. If you take the entire ecosystem into consideration, only certain living beings called autotrophs are able to produce the food material, and they are called the primary producers. And the primary production that takes place over a period of time is always expressed in terms of weight in the form of gram. The total quantity or the weight of organism in a given area or volume is biomass. As I say, it's the total quantity of the material that is contained or its weight. It is estimated that land plants produce 170 billion tons of biomass per year. Aquatic plants produce 55 billion tons per year. There is a difference between that. You can find out from your teacher how it is, or you can also go through Google, find out why that difference is. Now, primary production is further divided into three types. We can say one is the gross primary productivity, and second is the net primary productivity. The third one we can say net community productivity. So now I am using the word productivity here for production. When you say productivity, it talks about the finished product. See, normally in any of the factories, they say, what is your productivity? They don't talk about the process. Similarly here, we talk about the productivity, that is the finished product. Now let us try to find out what these three are in the next. Now, productivity, if you want to explain further, we can say it refers to rate at which primary production happens. That means whether it is very fast or very slow. Again, it depends upon the type of the or the species of the plant, where it is situated, how much of chloroplast it has, uh, how much of exposure it has for the year. If you take, for example, the plants which are in the darker area, that is just beneath the or in the surface level of the forest, they may produce less. Tall trees may produce more. So it's again a rate is important. It is expressed in terms of weight. Biomass is expressed in terms of weight in gram per unit area, or it may be volume also, over a period of time. So two factors will decide the amount of biomass produced. Here we are not taken the uh, important factors present in the green plant itself. We have only taken the unit area, how much it is exposed to, and then the period of time. For comparison purposes, always it is taken, that is gram raised to -2, that is the 2 unit area and the period time. Period time is taken as 1 year completely. So therefore, in order to compare the different ecosystems, how productivity is different in each area, we can compare them. When you compare them, we have to use this particular equation. Now, it may be also kilocalories meter raised to -2 by year 1. So these are the important things you should be able to remember. Maybe if you are going for medical examination or JEET, they may ask you questions on this, but may not be in the 12th standard level. Now, there will be some energy loss when the organism like plant is producing food material. When it is living, in order to live, it has to do the metabolism. Metabolism refers to both the anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is the production of material. Catabolism is the destruction, the breaking down of that one. That is, whenever the plant is using certain amount of energy, most of the energy is used in what's called respiration. See, every plant respires. You may not be able to see like human beings having the lungs, but they do respire. Every part of the living cell respires, and that will be expressed in a symbol called R. During this particular process, energy is lost. Some energy is lost. How much of energy is lost can be calculated by taking the regular root of using certain formulae, etc. And then whatever the energy is left over after utilizing for respiration, that's called net primary production. So net primary production also refers to the amount of biomass that is available in the plant, that is stored in the plant. GPP is the short form for gross primary production, minus R is the respiration, is equal to NPP, net primary production. The formula will be GPP minus R equals NPP. Maybe in the examination they may ask you to express this formula. NPP, that is net primary productivity, is the amount of biomass available for heterotrophs for consumption. When you say heterotrophs, it includes all the animals. Animals do not produce food material, or they will not be able to produce anything at all, maybe except certain amount of lower things like protista, where euglena is an example where it may produce some carbon, fix some carbon, but we consider larger area, that is heterotrophs, meaning hetero means different, trophic means eating habit. These have different habits. For all that, the primary energy has to come from the plants only by means of NPP. Now the second one is called the secondary productivity. What is that? Consumers. Consumers, all animals are consumers. They consume the food prepared by the, or food fixed by the plant, or they consume the biomass made by the plants. That is consumers, or that is heterotrophs are called consumers because they consume. They use energy from the net primary production, and also in turn they use energy, and then whatever the energy left over in them, they accumulate that in the form of biomass, maybe muscular tissue in the animals, like that, fat, etc. They are all biomass, and they are subsequently, that is known as secondary productivity. You know, a large number of organisms, animals are used as a food material, and that food comes as a secondary productivity. NCP is another one, a important thing you must remember, that is net community productivity. This indicates the stored organic matter in heterotrophs during a particular period of time. That means if you want to weigh the biomass of the uh, heterotrophs, we can do this particular, use this particular uh, idea of NCP. Now my acknowledgements are due to the NCERT textbook from chapter 14, where I use some information. Image used in this is taken from the Common Creatives. I am grateful to them. Some information is taken from Google search. I am also thankful to Google for that. So with this, we are completing the part 3 called productivity.